Today's stream starts out extra rumbly thanks to carts in the hallway. Thanks, carts in the hallway. Not quite as noticeable as the trains outside, but yeah, so coming back at you again from the warehouse full of sound effects here. And cats. And some robots. But sound effects and cats mostly. There are still more cats than robots in this building, despite there being a lot of each. I suspect a lot of the units in this warehouse don't have any robots, but mine has a few, and at least a few of the other units have robots. Yeah, no robot cats, which is... I'm fine with that. I don't need robot cats in my life right now. I'm pretty happy with organic cats. Whatever organic even means. I feel like that's one of those words that doesn't actually mean anything. It just kind of takes on a context. But anyway, yes, living cats as opposed to robot cats are pretty nice. And yeah, if you can take care of a cat, then I'm sure that you could find one at a local shelter that would want some help. Oh, nice. Josiah on YouTube chat seems to be excited that the stream is starting, but they were just watching Ben Eater's Computer on a Breadboard. Yeah, what a great series, and Ben Eater is such a great teacher. I also just recently found out about the podcast that him and one person I know and one person I don't know. Anyway, there were like three of them. Anyway, I don't have a proper link to it. Maybe I can find it. Anyway, they did a podcast together, and it's been nice so far. I've only listened to a few episodes, but it's been interesting. I think we can get closer to this cat. I apologize for the wobbly motion. That's mostly the fault of really incomplete motion control software right now. So you're just hitting lots of just bugs and bugs compounding on bugs, and some of them are physical problems that we might have to address in a physical way, but a lot of what you're seeing is just the software being wobbly. But when it's stationary, it manages to stay nice and stable. Like I can even use it for time lapses, which is pretty nice. With the exception of, it does get into modes where I kind of get this periodic motion where it'll sort of drift for a bit and then experience a correction. Oh, thank you, Ben in Blue. That's it. Yes. Dean is here to fill in the gaps in my memory, thankfully. Oh, here's Tuco. Coming up behind me. Oh, and Tuke's entering text into the browser. What a good cat. Yeah, so I was actually going to show the stream on here briefly. So yeah, right now, if you go to twitch.tv/TucoFlyer, you can see the output of the robot, and I currently have the printer overlay on there. I don't know how often I'm going to have that, but it's on there right now. And Tuco wants to walk on the heater, but it's been on recently, so he's gauging how warm it is. I think it's cold enough for him, I guess, but he's staying on the very edge of it. He's a weird animal, right? See that? The middle of the heater is warm, but he just wants to walk right onto the window, and so he's going to do that. Anyway, so I know I'm starting a bit later than usual, so it's probably going to be too late for a lot of folks' time zones. It's like evening here. It might be morning for some of you. It is beer o'clock here. I ended up just like doing a bunch of off-stream odds and ends today, but came up with something I could stream. I need some accessories for the IRL shop here to do with this Tuco Flyer robot. So we've got this great robot, which is just doing a better and better job tracking this cat with every software patch. Oh geez, I've got a flickery light in the kitchen. I'm gonna turn that off before a capacitor explodes or something. Oh, it's gonna be darker without that though. Oh yeah, cool. Mazu says that they just got up. Yeah, it's nice. I'm glad it's morning for some people. Some people get to start their workday with this, and some people get to be night owls with it. Yeah, so I've got this robot, which, the plan for a while has been for this, like, main shop area here to have this, like, semi-public, like, video kind of TV station status to it, so, like, I can basically just, like, live stream down here pretty much whenever, just give people in the area some notice, and, because, this is, like, my live workspace here, but I share it with people sometimes, and so some of what I want to do is to better communicate like how the video works here, and like I like to have like a sign or multiple signs that say like we are streaming video here, we are streaming audio here, we are recording video here, etc. And if, like, as much as possible, have those signs update automatically based on the status of the actual recording hardware. Or for the streaming, based on, like, going out and polling Twitch and polling YouTube. So that might be something we could do with some of the like, IoT gear that we got in the mail from bigclown.com yesterday. It could also be something we could do with just, like, a Raspberry Pi. I think it depends on what the indicators would be. I think the like really low power IoT gear is really good for stuff that is suited for low power, so like sensing or like LCDs without a backlight. If I wanted to make like a big shiny like LED sign, then that is going to suck up so much power anyway that I could just throw an ESP8266 or a Raspberry Pi in there. My personal preference actually would be to make stuff like that power over Ethernet and use like a Raspberry Pi here. So yeah, I might do that because I've got a PoE switch that I use for cameras, and it's got a handful of extra ports already. Oh, there's Tuco. Tuco is rack mounting himself, sort of. Where is he? Oh. Alright, cat. Yeah, so anyway, one thing that I did toward that end was I made this little sign. So there's like a little entry hallway here, and I wanted to make a reminder for myself and any other people in the area that there's often live video here, and you should cover up any personal information you don't want to be on live video, which has like been my policy for a while, but it's nice to make this more more obvious for people. And then I have some tape there, and so anyway, like for a while, this area itself was also pretty private, and that's changing now that the camera is more mobile. So I might try to add like some measure of, like additional privacy or like a curtain or something. But one thing that I wanted to try was to just have, where's Tuco? I wanted to try just making a little thing that you could hang your keys inside of, so that even if the robot can see this area, it can't like read your keys and make copies. I don't know how much of a threat that is, but it seemed like something that's like worth, I think it's probably worth not showing like keys and passwords on the internet, even if they're somewhat hard to use in a lot of cases. So yeah, I thought that might be both a thing that I could do that would be practical, and an opportunity to try a different CAD program than I usually use. So, previously you've probably seen me use both Fusion 360 and Rhino on this show. I've used Fusion 360 quite a lot to do most of the design on the Tuco Flyer, and it's really good for complex assemblies. It's really the only like free for hobbyists alternative to SolidWorks that I know that's actually viable at this point. I've also used Rhino a bunch, which is good for more like artistic models, but less good for you know, it's not like a parametric CAD program, so it's less good for stuff where you have a lot of dependencies. And then in the past, I've used stuff like OpenSCAD. I've actually done a bunch of stuff with OpenSCAD because it was the very first program I used to do CAD, not just like CAD in general, but like specifically for 3D printing. I had done a little bit of 3D modeling for animation before doing any 3D printing, but the very first thing that I reached for when I got my first MakerBot way back, my first MakerBot was actually the one that's still up on the shelf there. Can I show you with the cat cam? It needs a little bit of work, but it's still in mostly all right condition. I should do like a fixer-upper stream at some point. That sunflower Mac was never actually mine. A friend of mine actually just found this on the sidewalk, and I took it in because it seemed like it was in good shape. And that monitor is destined to go elsewhere. It's just there temporarily. But yeah, that's my heavily modified MakerBot. And the first thing that I used when I started on that machine was OpenSCAD. And I've done a bunch of stuff with that. But I think my standards at this point for stuff that I want to print and use around the shop on a daily basis, like I want stuff like fillets to be easy. I want to be able to do a good mix of kind of visual design and more analytical design. Where is Tuco? See, now that I've taken this off of him, I've completely lost him. He might just be over here. Yeah, so see that's the hallway I'm talking about, and you can even see this area if I drive the camera over there. Oh, do we have him? See that? So yeah, that area right there is where the sign is, basically. Yeah, I don't know where Tuco is, though. Oh, geez, are we going to blind the camera again? Oh, I should move that light. It might actually damage the camera. It's bright enough. Or, oops, that's not what I meant when I moved the light. Oh, there's Tuco. Well, luckily this camera does actually work remarkably well in low light, so maybe I don't need that much light in here. Oh yeah, so I mean I had some videos on the desktop here. Oh, let's get some more space. I don't need this DSLR overlay right now. So yeah, I had this as the example of what we're building for, and the thing that we might build goes right there. And I also just realized that we hadn't really been, I hadn't really been able to show a good view of what this robot actually looks like from on the stream. Just because usually the camera is not in a good position. So I recorded these videos on my phone earlier, like yesterday, I think. Yeah, so this was just a stationary video from my phone on top of a shelf or something to show, I think this moves around in a sec, yeah. Whee! Yeah, this is going to be fun to edit. So it's got this ring of light which alternates between blue and green right now. And blue indicates that it hasn't seen Tuco recently, and green means that it has, or at least that's the way it's supposed to work. There's a small bug in it sometimes, but yeah. This is better. You can just fly it around with the video scrub bar here. So yeah, you can see it's like, you know, you can move it around. It's pretty fun to fly. There's definitely some wobble, but it's not that bad. It's a different angle. Whoa. Let's not have multiple copies of that open. Oh yeah, this is a better view. It's a bit smoother that way. I still don't know where the cat is. Oh, there he is. He's on the couch. Yeah, see, that's great. Effective little feline follower. So yeah, I've been wanting to get into additional CAD programs. So I mentioned Fusion 360, Rhino, OpenSCAD. So the one I plan on using today is FreeCAD, which I have almost no experience with. So this is really going to be like you get to laugh at a FreeCAD newbie doing all the wrong things, basically. But yeah, the whole LED pattern here is synchronous with the location of the camera, so as the camera swings around, the LEDs follow it. Did I not include a good demo of that in this video? I got a different video that demos that somewhere. Oh, this one is nice because you can see the two-code tracking in the very background. Speaking of two-code tracking, I'm going to kill that 3D printer overlay because that's spoiling the view of this amazing cat. Yeah, we don't need that printer. VJ says FreeCAD is fun and easy to crash, or at least it was. Yeah, well, I guess we'll get to see to what extent it still is. So yeah, if you want to hang out with Tuco on a separate screen, there's this one, but we'll close that one for now. So freecadweb.org is the place for this. They've got a nice little wiki thing. Is that the actual front page? The actual front page is this, like landing page thing. The documentation is the wiki. The downloads go here. And so I just installed the latest Mac stable release, which I just accidentally also downloaded. Sorry for wasting your bandwidth. Let's not download additional copies of that, thanks. All right, so let's keep the docs handy just in case we need it and just dive right in. Maybe before we dive right in, I'll at least try to describe what I'm going for on the camera here. So here are my keys. As you can see, I've redacted the important bits here that we're trying to cozy up in the... Well, so I was going to call it a keychain booth, or a keyring booth, because it's sort of like a telephone booth. You go in there for privacy, but in this case it's for a keychain. And so I've got a card, and I've got some keys, and I've got a little Bluetooth locator, and I've got a little multi-tool. And this is like the largest multi-tool I can actually keep in my pocket without it bothering me, basically. And I was thinking about various designs, like just put it on a hook or something. But having, like, I've even tried 3D printing sort of a hook-based keyring holder, and it just seemed kind of flimsy. It didn't really print that well, and I think I'd probably design something slightly different. I've used like nails plenty. It's just not very ergonomic. But yeah, I was thinking maybe magnets would be the right way to do it. So maybe design something with room for 2 of these magnets. What diameter are these? At the risk of magnetizing my calipers. Oh, these are 8mm magnets. So what about... And they're actually really thin. I think they're too thin to be as strong as I'd like them to be, so I'm thinking maybe a stack of 2. And that's roughly, I think, 8mm diameter, and then maybe, what is that, like 2 or 3 millimeters thick? 2.75. I called it, sort of. And so that actually holds the whole keyring pretty well just by the magnet and all the junk I've got attached to it. And would also hold a somewhat heavier keyring than mine. Oh yeah, I've also tried SolveSpace just a very tiny bit, but it's also on my list of tools to try to get to know better. The last time I tried using SolveSpace for something, I got hung up on the fact that I needed it to like interact with existing 3D models, and it didn't have any 3D import facilities, which is also a problem I have with OpenSCAD. Like OpenSCAD, you can't really do anything with a 3D model. If you have a 2D model, you can like extrude it and stuff. If you have a 3D model, you can just like stick it in your output. I think you can maybe do solid geometry on it, maybe. But you can't like measure it, you can't align stuff to it, you can't actually do anything parametric with the model. So it's, you know, like for example, if you have some assembly from an external tool, like in a step file or something, it would be great to have a tool that's like, find the grid of 4mm holes and then attach this thing to it or run this modifier on that assembly. Like that would be a useful tool. The closest thing I know of to that would be Grasshopper, which is a Rhino plugin, and still doesn't make that kind of thing that easy. It just makes it possible. Oh, Inkscape is totally a CAD tool. I should just say that specifically I'm looking at stuff that can do 3D. But for 2D designs or 3D designs that you can break down into 2D parts in your head, Inkscape is a great option. So I'll definitely, yeah, definitely have to echo what Bill is saying about that. Yeah, VJ says time to write a CAD CAM plugin for Inkscape, right? Oh, and Josiah has a shout out for another ESP32 thing I should check out. There's an M5 stack project, which has LCDs and batteries and stuff. Anybody heard of that? Pal Costa is like, another cat program, what's wrong with Tuco? Right. Well, that's why I figured people would want a separate URL they could go to get all Tuco. Well, maybe not all the time, at least more of the time than here, and, you know, approaching most of the time. So, anyway, I was thinking that I would do something where there's actually a hole on the top of the assembly that the magnets glue into. So the magnets press into a cylindrical hole, and then on the bottom side, I actually cut a slot down the middle that the keyring, so the keyring can get the strongest magnetic attachment by making a direct like metal on metal contact with the magnet. But the little wings outside the slot that are still retained by the plastic mass of the actual bracket, that actually keeps the magnet from pulling through, and it holds the weight of the keyring. Does that make sense? It might make sense more if I drew a picture, but we're about to try to do that in the computer. So I would use like a drop of super glue to hold the magnet in, but the super glue wouldn't be holding the whole weight of the keychain. It would just be keeping the magnets from falling out of the hole. So I'd be using the structure of that to hold it all in. So that'd be the plan. That would mean the top wall would need to be thick enough for the magnets. And then I would want the whole thing to have a flat wall that I could stick to the wall with some of these adhesive strips, maybe just one of them. Because that seems to be the easiest way to attach stuff to the wall. You could also add screw holes, but that's just nice because like it's minimal damage to the wall and you can attach it anywhere you want. And it holds light stuff like this pretty well. So a lot of times I'll just buy these adhesive strips without the little plastic doodads they want to sell you and 3D print the plastic parts. You don't even have to buy their special adhesive. You can use other kinds of adhesive. This stuff is just actually pretty good at not leaving that much damage on the wall if you care about that. Let's see. So then I want the whole thing to be, as the name would imply, kind of like a booth for your keychains, for your keyring. So it wouldn't be fully enclosed, but I imagine it would be, you know, maybe 270 degrees or 180 degrees or something, like an arc basically, so you can reach in and like stick your keys to the top or unstick them and like kind of grab them. And I want it to be enough room that, you know, it has enough room for this stuff to hang, and that you don't have to like really contort your hand too much to reach in and grab the stuff, but that you can put it in there, and then once it's in there, then a camera just like casually like peering around the corner has no chance of actually seeing what's in there for privacy. So that's the strategy. So I think the design would likely be, how would we do this? It could print, I'm thinking about print orientation and what that implies for the design, because that starts to tell us what constraints there are. So what if it was printing with the magnet like on the base, so upside down? In that case, you would end up needing supports for these like really load-bearing pieces, but maybe not. I mean, that's small enough that you could probably bridge that. So that might be fine. You might just rely on the bridging and then press the magnet in there. And then that would allow that flat top to print really easily. If the top just comes straight down, I imagine that would be the easiest or the best design. I mean, you could do something kind of more Jetsons-y futuristic by having it kind of come out and then like arc down. And I might want a little bit of that, but having it be too egg-shaped, I think, might make it actually like hard to use. I think making it more like a cylindrical kind of booth might make it easier. And I don't think it needs or wants to have a bottom on it. I think that would just encourage trash to collect in it. I think it wants to be empty, or I mean, maybe I want a little shelf, but I think I actually specifically don't want a little shelf. So I think maybe like a U-shaped piece with, you know, a nice shape to it, hopefully, and then like a flat top. That's one option. The other option for print orientation is lay the flat like wall side down. And that's pretty compelling too. There's a bit of an overhang problem with like the top edge, like right over where the key ring would attach, but I could solve that with a chamfer or with supports, or it might be fine with bridging, but I'm less confident about the bridging there than I would be under the magnet, since that's also going to be more aesthetically relevant because you'll see that part. Yeah, I kind of like the upside down orientation, maybe. Anyway, let's keep modeling some of this. So I have no idea what I'm doing. I just installed FreeCAD. Oh, Strontium555 says hi from Twitch chat. Hello. Oh, do we need to go enable that? Oh man, I want to just be able to use like Spotlight. The only thing I want it for is finding stuff like the applications folder, the screenshots folder, a particular application. And I feel like most of the time when I use it, it fails at doing the really obvious stuff and just does the like searching strange corners of my hard drive. Oh, Tuco looks so good on the couch. At least he's looking really good on this monitor. I hope it's still coming through with Twitch compression. All right, start a new project. Parts. Let's make this whole thing viewable, maybe. Oh, cool. Jimmy liked the Big Clown stream. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. It was definitely a fun thing to do. I enjoyed getting a chance to dig into all of that gear and to like read the source code and to play around with it and tweak the firmware. And yeah, and I am also still looking forward to actually using that to build some stuff that I get to just use around here. I'm thinking about how to best use the strengths of stuff that has that's designed for like low power sub-gigahertz radio kind of stuff. because it really seems the best for like remote sensing especially. And so like temperatures and like humidity and stuff in the bathroom for sure, but also I can imagine maybe, I don't know, I need to do some range testing and see how far the radios work around here. See how far, like, I don't know, maybe I can put a transmitter elsewhere in the building or like outside and still get the signal here. I hadn't decided exactly where to put the base station either. I was going to, I just ordered some power over Ethernet splitters with 5-volt output so I can stick the Raspberry Pi in more locations more easily. Okay, so anyway, this is FreeCAD. This is what happens when you just open it right after installing it. You get this little screen. There's a getting started. I don't know if I want to get started. I think I want to just actually make something. What happens if I click this? It opens the wiki. Okay. That might be handy, but I can do that in my own web browser, thanks. What kind of web browser is this? Is there a way to not use the built-in web browser? Like, usually I don't want the built-in web browser. But okay. This isn't really loading anyway. That's fine. How do I get back to the other thing? I can just new, that's fine. There was something where it was asking me about like architectural versus small parts or something like that, and like Rhino, when you open it up, has different templates for working on like things the size of a building versus things that fit on your desk with different units, and I figured this might have something similar. I think if I reopen it, I'll get to that same screen. I don't think I need it. I'm just curious what it does at this point. So there's architectural design, a ship design. Wow, I can build boats. That's cool. I work with meshes, which is neat. I have not even done much with meshes in specifically like solid modeling software, so I'm curious how that works here. I've done a lot of work with meshes in Blender, and I've done just maybe a tiny bit of like importing meshes for reference in Fusion 360, but I haven't actually tried to see how any of the other tools mesh edit by comparison. All right, well, I think I want part design. Complex pieces based on constrained 2D sketches. Cool. I don't see what the differences are between these. Oh, so architectural design seems to be about extruding lines to make walls. So maybe it's got some extra scripts for that. That's interesting. It would be nice as a user trying to understand the model of just like how things are built in the software. Like, what does it mean? Like, what kind of object are these things that I'm clicking on? Are they templates? Are they files? Are they like preference presets? Are they different modes? So that's like kind of weird to me. So I'm going to click this, and this gave me something that looks identical to when I just went to new as far as I can tell. Is this a web page, or does this icon not mean that it's a web page? I don't know. I can also see all the latest check-ins, which is interesting. Oh, that's weird. This shows up only when I'm on this page, and it takes me back there. Interesting. Okay, what orientation do I want to be what? Sure. I guess we can just start with the top and figure out what the top of the whole model looks like. Figure out what we want to kind of extrude downward. Yeah, so AT Makers is saying that architectural adds thickness to lines. You don't have to make walls into boxes. Yeah, it looks like that from the picture. I just don't get any indication on how that works. It's like, I would love just like a tiny blurb that's like, architectural mode automatically loads the architectural plugin, or turns on architectural drawing mode, or, you know, installs something or other. Like, that little tiny piece of text that actually indicates specifically what it's doing is such a great teaching opportunity for telling the user specifically how the pieces fit together, or what they're called, or, you know, that kind of thing. I'm not like trying to be that complainy right now. I'm just trying to, I'm almost like treating this as a user experience kind of test. Like, how do I feel as a user, and trying to give like train of consciousness, stream of consciousness. My train of consciousness is derailing. Yeah. Anyway, so what do I actually want? Let's start with the magnet on the origin. So that was 8 millimeters, and I think I want to add just a tiny bit of clearance because I don't want this to be completely requiring of zero tolerance here. So in fact, the magnet itself is a little bit more than 8. It might have been manufactured to 8 before it was plated or something. It's actually 8.05. Okay, so what am I doing here? Can I has circle? I can make lines, I can make arcs. Center and endpoints. Is there a way to make a circle directly, or do I need to make an arc with the two ends constrained to each other? It doesn't seem like I can do that, actually. There seems to be some kind of ambiguity between a full-size arc and a zero-size arc right there. Let's look for something else. Oh geez, I can't delete this by pressing delete. Huh. I can drag it. How do I delete you? I don't want you anymore, bye. What possible reason could there be for delete not deleting the thing? Oh, was I in some kind of mode? I pressed escape and something changed. Was I not done creating the arc yet? Was that the issue? Okay, now I can delete it. Oh, I think I just deleted the whole sketch. Okay. Ah, I don't like this tasks window. Does this change, or is this always... Like, it's really tiny, and it replaces this entire useful thing. Whoa. I double-clicked on the sketch, and it took me back to the start page. It does tell me what's in there. That was weird. What a weird program. Okay, deleted the arc. Do we have a circle primitive? How many expanders do I have to click? There's a wizard hat. Oh, is that? Oh, there it is. I just didn't see that before, or maybe it was slightly off screen. Center and rim point. I kind of wanted center and diameter, but that'll do. So I'm still in the circle tool. Was there a... Oh, its circle tool disappeared now. Is there a shortcut for this? How would I know if there was a shortcut for this? I'm gonna assume there's no shortcut for anything. There's probably a shortcut buried in the wiki page or like in some commented out line in the source code or something. This is Zoom related stuff. Where's different selection tools and all that? So that's still, do I just have to press escape? Last time, no, that exits the sketch. And then going back into the sketch takes me into the start center for some reason. I have no idea which behavior is intentional and which isn't. You know, that's one of those things where like if open source software had design documents or anything like indicating intentionality with regard to user-facing design, you'd be able to answer that question. Is it supposed to do this? Maybe. I don't know. You get that same problem in software that does have design documents. It's just you can easily look at the document and kind of route something toward it being a problem with the design or the implementation. See, some of these have shortcuts. Oh wait, what? This has a shortcut, L. There's just no shortcut for circle, and it's usually off the edge of the screen. How do I any of this? So, is this actually fixed right now? I have a constraint. What kind of constraint is it? Under constraint, okay, that's what I wanted. Okay, fix the radius. That has, why is there a shortcut for that but not for creating a circle? And do I have to do radius or is there also diameter? Refraction? Yeah, I was like, there's going to be a keyboard shortcut for refraction, but not for circles. That would be open source, right? I think I just have to set the radius. Okay. So that's what? I think I want like 4.25. That's my magnet. Now, how much? I think I want to start by modeling basically a cylinder that's kind of the interior of this booth for the keychain. So, excuse me. Just getting a rough idea of how big I want this to be. Maybe 6 centimeters or so. The widest thing on here is this access card, and it's like standard card size, which is about 5 centimeters. Let's see what 6 centimeters looks like. Let's go all the way over here and get a circle. Oh, there we go. I can encourage it to show up on the screen. That wasn't actually constrained, was it? How can I tell if I'm making this constrained? So way down here it tells me either axis, v-axis, root point. I think that's what I wanted. All right, and let's try 30mm radius. Can I move this visually at all? Maybe not. Oh yes, I can. I just have to click it just right. Oh, I'll be right back. Oh, so much sneezing. Alright, how thick? Just like, what do I want this to be shaped like? 'Cause, I mean, I don't want it to be a fully enclosed circle. Can I offset? I have to say, one thing that's frustrating about some tools is just that feeling that you're in a really small box. You know, I like tools where you get this feeling that this is like an expressive language or like a powerful interface, or you know, something that has some expanse of capability behind it. That's a really good feeling, you know, and it's frustrating to get the opposite and feel like constantly asking, I don't know if this tool can do the thing that I want to do. I don't even know where I would find this. It just doesn't look like... I mean, these seem to be like modifier kind of things. There's arrays, clones, symmetry. Show and hide internal geometry. Yeah, I don't think this knows how to do offsets. I'm probably gonna have to do this without offsets. I mean, if it does know how to do offsets, I don't know where I would find it. Two millimeters? You think that's enough? I need another circle. I would really like a keyboard shortcut. Was that C? Someone had a keyboard shortcut in chat, and then I didn't quite see it. Docs. Don't tell me this opens in the built-in browser. Good. Keyb. No keybs. No keybs. No keyboards. Macros. Do I need to make my own macro for doing a circle? Where even is this? How does it even? This, can we turn FreeCAD into a drinking game? Is that gonna get me kicked off of YouTube? Where did... Okay. Where did this come from? Tools, customize. This is so 90s. Wait, what? There's an open SCAD workbench and a robot workbench. That's interesting. I mean, I wonder if some people have used this as a basis for a robot controller, if that's something else. I guess the trendy thing to use these days would be Unity, but I've also seen people use Blender for that kind of thing. Oh yeah, I was gonna check to see whether this supports my space mouse. Seems like it might. But, alright, macros. Do I have to custom macro? And I have to use the Python console to see what the circle command is called. Is there a list of keyboard bindings? Is there... Oh, where would I find a keyboard command list for this program? I've been slowly getting used to the Keyboardio Model 1 on my other computer. It is very different from any keyboard I've used before. How? Oh. Is this really? Looks like they've been looking for some help on this one. All right. Can I? What a weird selection of tools. So I assume the stuff we're looking for is in like sketches. Create circle. Can I do anything with this object that you've created here? Great, so if I want to create a circle, all I have to do is root around in this dialog box for ages. Now, what is this even for? Can I drag this to the menu or something? No, I can't drag it. What is this UI for? There's a help button which just gives me a weird cursor. Oh gosh. This is like a UI blooper reel here. Oh gosh. I can't drag it, it just scrolls the whole thing. I don't see what this is even for. I'm not even switching commands here, like that's just what was already highlighted. Is that the problem? Do I have to exit this first? Why doesn't that have an icon now? See, I can't drag them, can't right click, can't do apparently anything with these objects. What are they even for? Can it tell me the name of the object? And these then have something else. What? Okay, is this finally what I'm looking for? Can I tell like, who's using what already? Okay, thank you. Oh gosh, no. Okay. W is free apparently. It doesn't work. What? What did I do wrong? Was it the wrong circle command, maybe? It's gotta be that one. Did I not successfully assign that? Ah. Okay. Okay, that's better. Thank you. It's fine once you know exactly where the right UI is. Constraint. Where was that radius thing again? Oh, I have no idea what I'm doing in this program. So C was coincident? Alright, might as well use that keyboard for something. Where's that radius, though? Oh, there it was. Shift R. Alright, where's the wall? So I want a flat surface I can put against the wall. And then I want to kind of blend that into this with some more circles. Let's just throw lines all over the place. Making stuff, tangent stuff. Do I want that to be thicker on the back? I don't know, man. 2mm is probably thick enough for everyone, right? I'll add some like internal fillets. Oh, look at that circle. My W hotkey at work. It's looking a bit Mickey Mouse-ish right now. Yeah, I know, I thought I had 2 vertices selected. Go away. There's a whole key on the keyboard for horizontal constraint. Can I make 2 circles tangent without it exploding? I don't know. What? Okay, that's just the circle not being vectorized very accurately. I should really save this. This could crash any second. Sure. Let's... Alright, so I can decide how far down that should be later. Maybe based on how wide I want that opening to be or something. I'm gonna just go to town with a trimming tool and hope that doesn't break anything. It probably will. I'm gonna do that a little differently, actually. Just gonna make everything with circles instead of more complex curves. That'll be fine, right? I want to probably have a couple of these side by side, but I don't think I want to make them part of the same unit. I think it'll be better if they're all separate. Yeah, okay, you're already horizontal, I gotcha. Oh, can I has midpoint? Oh, maybe I want a symmetry constraint. Those 2 points and the vertical axis, maybe? Yeah. Oh, cool. I don't think I even needed that line. I'll never be able to delete it. Maybe I can. Yeah, that's better. So the idea is I would follow this curve around here, then around here, then over here, around, and then follow the same on the other side. So, can I maintain all these constraints and then trim off parts of these circles, maybe? Ooh, I have 8 degrees of freedom. Maybe I want to set some of these sizes first. This is entirely aesthetic. I'm just trying to figure out what I want the back of this to look like. I mean, I could also try to make it have a sharp joint up against the wall. Like that. Oh, that's kind of nice. That is pretty close to being on this line. Maybe I'll just actually make that on the line. Like that. Cool. How would I make this distance fixed? Yeah. 40 millimeters? Nerp. What is it right now? How about that? 20 millimeters. That should do. Didn't seem to want to solve between these 2 points, but between that point and the vertical axis was fine. should figure out how much I actually need to cover up. Let's assume the sensitive information is... Oh, let's just make it 45 degrees. Did that work? No. Oh yeah, this is much more dead mouse than Mickey now, isn't it? That's great. It just needs, yeah. Manaware is asking if this is a thing you hang your key rings off of. Yeah, basically. We're looking at it top down right now. So this edge right here will be up against the wall, and this is where a magnet goes in. And then this is kind of like a privacy shroud that will keep cameras coming at it from a side angle from seeing what's going on inside. Most people don't have cameras peering over where people might be hanging up their keys, but my shop has that going on right now. Well, that seems all right. I'm a little worried this isn't big enough, or maybe I just need to put this further back in there. I can't just move this, can I? I'll just delete this. I wanted to try putting it up here somewhere, maybe. Canna has midpoint? Did we ever find midpoint? We can do refraction. It's so much easier to find refraction than midpoint. Degrees of freedom. If I click this, some of the icons change. Oh, right. I like that too. Ryan suggests like a privacy boot you can keep on your key. Yeah, that would be nice too. I feel like I would fumble with that a lot, trying to put my keys into the lock, but like it's just trade-offs, and that might be something to try too. I want to put this on the midpoint of this line. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I might just have to have equal distance constraints. So, like, how about instead of that line, actually? Let's delete that line. Instead, oh geez, this is gonna be all over the place. So I can make two lines. What is even going on up here? What? It'd be cool if I actually got more resolution when I zoomed in. Like, are these touching or not? How do I know? I mean, I can put the constraints on that I want. Does the space mouse work? Space mouse does not work in the 2D scenes, at least. I don't get anything from the space mouse. Robert, which thing are you asking how to hand solder? The passive component or the connector? Oh, this isn't working here either. Need to be power cycled. Huh. Fusion 360 installed on here? I wonder if I don't have the Space Mouse drivers on this computer. That would explain it. I think I installed it. That's the device. It's a low-speed device. I thought this was a pretty safe app to just try out Space Mouse support in. That would be useful if it works. Do we not have a browser either? Let's just update this. Oh, the USB-C connector, yeah. Yeah, I've not tried doing one of those myself, actually. I'm curious what people's experiences would be. I would expect you'd have to go in there with some gentle heat and patience, with a hot air tool and possibly also a preheating tool. If anyone wants a full screen cat cam, by the way, you can go to twitch.tv/TucoFlyer. I've got it on a little monitor right here, and it's pretty nice. I was looking at some USB-C related dev boards the other day, and there's There's you may already know this, but USB-C, most of the cables now contain a microcontroller in either end, and the entire thing is called an electronically marked cable assembly. And so I saw a dev board for one of these, and it was literally just a circuit board with like kind of a thin section and then like a blobby section at each end with a microcontroller circuit and a bunch of breakouts, and then a USB-C connector was just on the board hanging off that end. So it was like this little circuit board that was like a USB-C cable with debug. Was that Maxim? I think that was Maxim. Yeah. How is it buying Maxim parts these days? I remember having trouble with that, but that was a long time ago, and it's been a while since I've tried. Why are you taking so long here? Am I gonna have to exit this? Restart? Sure. We've still got the cat cam. I mean, thankfully it's not restarting the computer we're streaming from. This is a useful break from FreeCAD. Welcome to us streaming the boot sequence. It would be interesting to take a really close look at the boot sequence one of these days. It's been a while since I did that on a Mac. This is a Mac Mini, if you're curious what kind of a machine it is.
Move the model up.
No. Don't talk.
The key to all the...
No, just tell me if it works. Jeez. Ah! That would be a no. You could have done that so much more easily. Oh my gosh. Why is my space mouse not working? The lights are coming on. Plug it into the other USB. It might just not like my KVM switch. Oh, maybe it's having a bad KVM switch day. I know I've used it through this KVM switch before, but maybe since I switched keyboards, maybe it's drawing too much power now. Because this keyboard, I think, is a little more power hungry than the previous one. Thanks, USB. I think this is working. I probably didn't have to actually update the drivers, but now I've got up-to-date drivers anyway, and it didn't take that long to reboot. Thanks, solid-state drives. Actually, this machine doesn't have a solid-state disk, does it? It just boots quickly. Oh, this is one of those that has solid state and a spinning disk. Interesting. That's also strange. So, back to FreeCAD. Let's see if it works with my mouse. Oh yeah, the graphics noise during startup is interesting. I don't think that's the Mac. I think that's my video grabber. Yeah! Whoa. Where is my center of gravity? Okay, this is slightly different than I'm used to. The coordinates are rotated 90 degrees relative to how I'm used to the Space Mouse operating. That's not terrible. And it does work in sketch mode. It doesn't keep it orthogonal. The buttons don't work on my Space Mouse. That's fine. Well, some of them do. The keyboard mapped buttons work, but like there's a button that's supposed to zoom, and a button that's supposed to rotate, and those don't seem to do anything. Okay, I was just trying to put the magnet on, right? So I want these to be equal. Where are my constraints? Where did the constraint toolbar go? Why am I having a new problem? That whole toolbar with all the stuff that I was using is now gone. Oh, I was still in the start workbench somehow. Instead of Sketcher, which is what I want. See, like in Fusion 360, it has a modal interface like this, but they make the mode very obvious, and it's like weird where in this view, the mode isn't visible. I can turn on this, which gives you the mode, but now the mode takes up an entire line in this. Can I dock this, maybe? Yeah, that's better. That's more like what I wanted. Why isn't that the default? Why are these laid out different? Oh gosh. Oh, I hate these toolbars. These are so 90s. Like, somebody thought this was a good idea because you can just rearrange it and make it do anything you want, but like, it's the same reason I hate the toolbars in IDA 5.7, because I'm just always having to mess with them, and it just messes with your muscle memory anytime stuff moves, and I just, anytime it, like, if it was always possible to get them to stay in just the right spot, that would be great, but if there's ever a bug in the toolbar, it just messes with my ability to remember where things are. Okay, so that's in the midpoint, just by making those two equal line segments. But now I want to make... How do I get this in the middle? I think I just want the origin to be on this line. That seems better. Like, it looks too far back, but it's centered between this back edge and this front edge, so I think that would accomplish the goal a little bit better. What does this look like with different angles? So that's a 45-degree angle. $35. $30. That seems nice. Let's try trimming some stuff. Can we do that? Next thing I'll find out, this has no trim tool and no extrude tool, and I've just wasted my time. TR. That's not one edge. No, what are you doing? No. That is completely not what I wanted. Really? Really? Where does this work? Do I need to make those stick together more thoroughly somehow? Like, I thought these were already constrained to be attached to each other. where are my remaining degrees of freedom here? It says I have 5 degrees of freedom. Maybe I have to make all of this stuff construction geometry and somehow select the pieces I want, but somehow I need to split this, and I need to say, right here at this intersection, I want this and that to be different parts of the curve. And I thought that it would automatically do that at the tangent points. Come on, web browser. Where is my web browser? Oh gosh, somebody has a video just for this problem. Read this first, dummy. Removing constraints? Why would you do that? Has this gotten any better since 2015 is my current question. So it seems like either we created the constraints in the wrong order or the constraints aren't actually constraining it. So let's try to figure out why. We still have degrees of freedom in the document anyway. What is free to move? This is free to move. I just want to make this pretty big. $50, sure. 4 degrees of freedom now. Where are my degrees of freedom? It'd be cool if you could tell me. Is there any color coding? Am I just gonna have to drag stuff? Oh, these lines. They can slide. I don't quite know how to get all the constraints I want right here. I'm just going to put this on the vertical axis and make these two equal. Then try to glue these together. That. Fully constrained. Turns green to let me know that I've earned a cookie. I don't know why trim wouldn't work at this point. Let's see if we can make trim do something different. Oh, interesting. Still no. Oh, it highlighted the whole thing, but when I actually clicked it, it did the right thing. Let's see if we can keep that up. No. I really don't like this. That didn't even trim at the right place. Look at that, look at that. It's supposed to be tangent right there. I could drive an entire toolbar through that gap. I don't know what else to do with this. I mean, can I turn all of this stuff into just reference geometry and then draw arcs on top of it, maybe? Does this even have a concept of reference or like sketch geometry? Visibility. How frustrated do I have to get before switching tools? I wanted to try to do something entirely with FreeCAD. But it just seems less like, I don't know, less like I'm having specific problems and more just that there just isn't that much here, or that I'm having trouble finding what is there. I mean, it's cool having all these different spaces, but like the sketcher at least seems like it's kind of sparse. A lot of people have told me that they like Onshape. I don't really see the appeal of a browser-based tool that isn't open source. Like, the reason I'm trying this one is because it's open source. That seems to be the only reason I would use this. And, like, Fusion 360 is really nice and really powerful, but it's, you know, it's like the olive branch held out by the giant corporation to get you to be, you know, locked into their ecosystem. So that's useful and very practical, but not necessarily something I want to support more than I have to. And then, like, Onshape, I don't know, I should try it just to see what people like about it. I just haven't heard a lot of specific things that people like about it, and it mostly just seems to be because it's a browser-based thing. And I don't really like browser-based things that much. Like, they're okay, but I wouldn't use it because it's a browser-based thing, and it seems like that's a slight negative to me. What if I take off all the constraints and redo them? Save this. Let's leave the size constraints. I'm going to take off pretty much everything else. Maybe I should keep the horizontal and vertical constraints. I don't know. Even just this process is a little weird. Like, I have to kind of give it a second between clicking it and pressing delete for that to work. Okay, what does it need for this to actually trim properly? That's specifically a point on an object. I just want that to be tangent. Hovis says that what they like about Onshape is mostly the browser-based kind of seamless sharing of designs with people for public designs. Like, what does that mean? Like, they can use it easily inside Onshape, or like they can easily download the files? Like, how is that different than just keeping it in GitHub? Part of what I am frustrated about with Fusion 360 is they actually don't make it easier to integrate with just existing version control tools. Because I like keeping my stuff in Git, and there's, like, you can do it, it just you have to like slurp it down out of the cloud back onto your own computer where you've designed the file, and then put it in Git. Hmm. 44 degrees of freedom. Trying to be really consistent with how I do the constraints. I don't think anything's moving though. What can I even move? What do I actually do to figure out what needs constraints? I saw tools to select over constrained areas, but not under constrained areas. Oh, Took's looking great on the couch there. He's having a good time. Oh, where was the trim tool again? TR. Was that a crash? I think that was a crash. Morgan's saying that they've had to use really simple sketches in FreeCAD. Yeah, I mean, I'm all ears if you think that I should be doing this differently. Can I make another sketch on top of this with the geometry that I'm actually going to be extruding from? The thing that's frustrating anytime I try to use FreeCAD, I mean, granted, there hasn't been a lot of it, but it just feels like every time I'm using it, I am now creating the most complicated thing anyone's ever tried to create with it. Like, I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure people actually do make complicated stuff successfully. It's just, it doesn't give me the feeling that this software is often used successfully for complex designs. Is that reproducible? This is what you say after shooting yourself in the foot, right? You just pull the trigger again. No, it isn't. Now it trimmed way up there. Am I just gonna have to make my own tangent points? Or make my own trim points? Can I attach something else to the intersection and use that for my trim point? I don't like this program. I'm sorry. We could go back to OpenSCAD. There's a whole OpenSCAD workspace in here. What is that like? can shell out OpenSCAD and put a copy of the results in here. Cool. Cool story. Oh, so it can't even extrude complicated shapes like this? This is depressing. Just wanted to use this program. Where did my sketch even go? I don't know where my sketch just went. It's not. Okay. Go away. If I can't extrude any of these shapes successfully, I don't... Like, this is about the point where I would love to actually ask an or like a FreeCAD developer, like, how do you get from here to a working model? This is really close to what I want. Can I use all these pieces as guides and then just do the unions and everything else I want in 3D instead of 2D? That doesn't seem more likely to succeed, does it? Okay, so I'm outside the sketch right now. What can I do with this? And how can I see anything? What workspace am I in? I'm still in the start workspace, which I had to open that up to see. Drawing, part design. Why can't I see the sketch now? So I want to be in the Sketcher workspace to do the extrude. I'm in Sketcher right now and I don't see the sketch. If I double click on it, it jumps in there for some reason. Can I make that visible while I'm editing a different sketch? Oh, it was invisible somehow. It was letting me know that this was invisible by drawing its icon very slightly lighter. Thanks. Apparently I can toggle that just by pushing space, so I probably just did that accidentally. Most of their, like, I like how most tools have like an eye or a light bulb or something. This is the same icon, just in a slightly different color scheme to indicate something really important. And now I can't seem to use the same camera controls, so there it goes. extrude this single piece. Map the sketch to a face. See, I don't want to be doing sketching. I want to be doing stuff in solid geometry land with the sketch. I just wanted to do a project in this tool. I'm reconsidering that desire. Okay, so pad. This is, I think, what Morgan was talking about with making the extrude, and it's probably going to break if I do it to the whole sketch. So can I make new sketches that correspond to the pieces I want to keep out of this design? I think so. Can I copy a piece from that? Can I reference? I think all I've got are the axes right here. Can I project a piece from a different sketch on here? Can I just make a bunch of copies of the sketch and delete the parts that I don't want? Oh, now I'll discover how much the selection sucks. Oh. Oh, yeah. Feels like I've got to press the middle mouse button harder than usual to make it work in this program. This is terrible. And it feels like I have to press delete multiple times too. What's going on with that? I click once to highlight it, then I press delete and it deletes. But maybe if I do this too fast, it's failing? See, I just did it and it failed. Then I press delete. If I wait like a half a second before pressing delete, it works. That is really aggravating. What do I need to do to rename this? F2. Okay. This program needs to come with a free meditation CD or something. How tall do I want this to be? There's no way that doing the rest of this is actually going to work, right? Like, I need to... Morgan's asking if my sketches are constrained to the 2D origin. Maybe. Why does it matter? Like, the problem I was having was just that it didn't seem like trimming actually worked. Like, it just didn't seem like it knew that objects that are tangent actually touch. At this point, I just feel like this is an exercise in futility. I like the sketch the way it was. I like these dimensions. I would like to keep using these dimensions and just build off of what I've got. And like, how would I even build this edge the way I wanted in FreeCAD? What can this program do? Like, are there examples of objects that people have made with FreeCAD, and how do they even work? Do they use the trim tool? FreeCAD success stories. What is all this stuff? I can't believe I clicked on a LinkedIn page. So you built this with FreeCAD? That's cool. Where are pictures of the CAD part of it? I don't know. Yeah, I guess let's just try building something out of arcs and lines and see if that will work. Let's delete all of these. And keep this for reference only. All right. Okay, top view. Yeah, I know I wasn't crazy there. It's not that I have to press harder, it's that if I press the middle mouse button right after another mouse click, it fails to register. It's just like there's a latency problem with the UI, and it doesn't queue events, it discards them. Marcel suggests drawing a rectangle around the part you want to trim away. Do you mean the edge of the rectangle has to be right at the trim boundary? Because if that's like, I don't see how to set that up with constraints down here. Oh, see, that time it was just like a 3/4 second delay between pressing the middle mouse button and actually going into pan mode. Okay. Arcs. So I'm actually selecting the origin, right? Root point, yeah. It took like a second to switch into panning mode that time. What the heck? Alright, and I'm just gonna put this vaguely over here without a real constraint yet. And then this goes all the way around. I'm just gonna have to do this without trimming or anything. So can I make these tangent? Okay, and then I want this portion to be made out of like 3 separate arcs. Like, I guess that first sketch just kind of informs me as to what I'm even designing, and now I can actually trace the outlines with individual primitives, which I think would work. It's just really frustrating the tool can't do more of this work for me. Setting tangent constraints there. I want this point on the axis. Yeah. Okay, can I set the sizes of some of this stuff maybe? This inner arc. Yeah, this was my actual size inside the compartment. So let's call that like 3. Maybe I want to make those a little bigger. 34 millimeters. 32 millimeters. What did I just do? This is a nice opportunity to tweak the shape though. Like we can set that, we can set this. I wonder if we can make half of this and then mirror it easily. Make that 3 millimeters thick. This is nicer. Oh, hey Tuco. Wake up, controller. Tuke, you're helping out. Oh, he is so purring now. Tuco is good at getting my attention. Yeah, good boy. Can I have this back? You gonna lay on that raspberry again, honey? Don't eat it. Oh. Hey, honey. Oh, can we set this distance? How can I make a midpoint from this arc? It's getting there. Just needs to be a little less asymmetric. Maybe even completely symmetric if we're feeling brazen. That's what I wanted. So now I can adjust that width and this height. Yay. Can make it have such a wide presence on the wall. How wide is my adhesive strip? Adhesive strips are 20 millimeters-ish. Actually, like 18 millimeters, so they're probably sized to fit on something that's about 20. But I think I'd want this to be somewhat bigger. What if I make it twice that so I could use 2 strips if I wanted? I don't think I'd want to use 2 strips though. That's like overkill. What is it like if I make this 20 between these? That's pretty little. Not terrible though. That just, I don't like the aesthetics of that. Whoa, 45. Oh, let's fix that. Yeah, that's better. That's like enough where I could use 2 strips if I wanted to, but I don't have to. And then I'm still looking for a way to set this distance. I still don't have like a midpoint. I can make a line that is tangent and horizontal. Oh, can't I just, like, I know this is already centered. Can't I just use a vertical constraint? That should be enough, right? I don't want it to try to extrude geometry based on this line, though. If I delete the line, it deletes the constraint. Let's try keeping that there. I don't know, man. This doesn't seem likely to work, does it? Is this the simplest sketch I can get away with? Whoa, what am I doing? First and second length? I'm not used to how this is 90 degrees off from all the other Space Mouse apps. Let's try deleting this. That worked, I guess. And how tall did I want that to be? Like 150? No, 120 is plenty. Like my little key ring will dangle down below, but all the actual keys are up in the protected area. 125. Ah, that was exhausting. And that looks okay, but what if I wanted to fillet these edges, for example? I don't know, let's try to keep this really simple. This is almost viable, I just need to add the top to it. Let's just try to keep this simple. There's the old sketch. Oh, neat. F2 is still rename. Oh, this is one of those Apple keyboards that tries to have brightness keys. No thanks. Oh, they were already set like that. Why wasn't it working then? I was pressing F2. Alright. Let's call that the shroud. So I think I just need to make another sketch based on this. Yeah. Cool, I'm starting to get the hang of this. It's still kind of frustrating, but it's getting a little better. So now I'm going to make the top. Can I subtract pieces from the top to make a hole? I might try that. So maybe first I want a sketch that's just like the plug that fills in part of the top, and then I can remove pieces from either side of it. Using my new circle hotkey. I don't want it to quite come to the very middle, because then that leaves a sharp corner right there. Coming to here might be alright. You know, I think I do want that to be an arc instead of a circle, because I want this edge to be cut off, and I don't think I can do that with trim. I don't know. I don't know, man. Do I trust this program to do anything now? Oh, man. Just having trouble selecting the origin just there. So I can't actually use the points from the other sketch, it looks like, which is also frustrating. But I can just make something like that. just have to, I guess, do all the dimensions separately. Which pixel do I have to click to get the origin? Alright. Yeah. That's all right. Wait, what was... Oh, yeah, no, that would have been fine for the old size, but that's right. I changed the size for that. La la la. Let's actually just delete this old sketch. It's no longer helping. I mean, except for maybe the magnet hole, but I'll figure that out again. So that side is 32. I don't want it right there because the sharp corner. Yeah, what does 33 look like? 33 is fine. What? How is that not lined up? Oh, jeez. How did... Oh, I guess these never got lined up as horizontal. Okay, right. I never actually set that angle. And I don't think I can do that with constraints. Like, can I have a line that is not included in that pad that I just made? Yeah, I think that just failed to create the pad. I want something equivalent to construction geometry in Fusion 360. If I delete that, this works, but now it's under constrained. I'm not even going to use constraints for this. I'm just going to put it where I want. I mean, ideally I want it tangent right there. I don't think I'm going to get that though. So, maybe there-ish. Okay, how much space do I need here? Second bar, most right symbol. CM? Okay, thank you. How would I have found that on the toolbar? Do I have to just put my mouse over each of these and wait for the toolbar to show up? Oh, and I can link an edge to external geometry. That looks useful too. Yeah, interesting. I think I want this to be like 5 or 6 millimeters thick. Okay, now, can I union these, or will it just explode in a giant fireball? What is complete? Oh, that's just like everything. Cool. Oh. Everything except for switching back to the other workspace. Actually, yeah, where did the workspace switcher just go? I hate this UI so much. Like, nothing is where I would expect it to be. Which is a common problem in CAD tools. It's just, I expect to have a little bit of discoverability. I just turned on all the features and there's no, like, go back to the previous mode. Maybe I'll just stay here. Module. Oh, whatever. Yeah, I don't know how to undo the thing that I just did. Oh, here we go. View workbench. Part design doesn't even have a hotkey. What is this program even for? Oh, the winches are making noise. Oh, the hysteresis needs work. So, I didn't actually want this though. Was there some other workspace that had booleans? Or am I just imagining something out of OpenSCAD? Make it cut. Okay, that's not what I wanted, but that is the right kind of operation. Boolean. Okay, we made a Boolean. I don't know if this is real until I actually see the triangles, though. So let's see if we can export this shape, because I am a little skeptical here. Like, what did it do with these faces? Where's the X-ray view? Looks alright so far. I don't want a raft. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how good the triangles are, but it looks like it's good enough for the slicer at least. How bad are the triangles though? Like, let's just look at this in wireframe. Oh, maybe that's fine. Yeah, so it still actually got the edges from both sketches, but it does look like it reconciled them into a flat plane, which is fine. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's try cutting a hole for the magnet and then do any other odds and ends we want, and then just like finish this, because I'm so ready to be done with this. Like, I'm not going to give this any nice little design flourishes. It's going to be very bare bones, which is unfortunate, because I would usually want to design things a little better. Like, I don't like these sharp corners down here. You're just going to like poke your hand on those. There's no fillet tool that'll actually deal with those, is there? Part. Whoa. This is not gonna work, is it? Yeah, no. Maybe if I make some kind of angled surface and then cut against it. Z. No. Excuse me. All right, that's right. Polyline. Huh. That's weird. So pad is like, it's this weird terminology. Like there is an extrude. Extrude just seems to stretch, like just adding one dimension, but then pad is like that, adding a dimension and then capping off the edges. Rhino treats them both as extrude operations, but there's like a boolean you can pass in for like whether or not you want the edges. Why are the Boolean operations in the OpenSCAD panel? Like that. Fillet. Oh, is this just gonna keep getting, I'm gonna have to keep remembering what these shapes are called or giving them good names. I was hoping this would let me click on the part to select it or something. I can click to select edges at least. I don't know how I'll know if this works. I guess I have to click OK first. That's an improvement. Won't be quite as scrapey on the hands. There's a little bit, like, can I fillet this without it crashing? That broke. Can you just give me the maximum fillet? Is there any amount of fillet that will work here? Huh. Oh, it was trying to fillet that whole thing. That's interesting. That's kind of nice, actually. Let's see if we can get away with 1.5 millimeters of that. No. That's fine. cannot get used to this 90-degree rotated space mouse. That is really weird. It's like instead of pushing into the screen being into the screen, pushing into the desk is into the screen, so it's kind of more like a 2D mouse, but it's not what I'm used to. Can I change that in preferences, I wonder? I thought there was a Space Mouse settings that we glossed over earlier. It's the same place we just were. Oh no. Oh, this edge is bugging me too. This front edge. We can actually try to fill out the whole top if we can get away with that. I don't know if we will be. I don't know why it's letting me select all the interior shapes also. I mean, I know I can do that all in the same operation. I don't need to like create a bunch of separate fillets. Let's also add these. Yeah, those can be smaller. 1 millimeter is fine. Oh, it's selecting the right pieces at least. This is working surprisingly well so far. I'm gonna jinx it, aren't I? Oh yeah, now I can't tell what I've selected. Huh. I don't think I'm going to try to fill out those. I think that's going to break it. That's also my build surface, so I'm going to have a brim there, and I can just give it a slight chamfer with the deburring tool after I print it. But that edge I did want filleted. Alright. I think this just needs the magnet. And I can finally be done with this monstrosity. I might use this program again. It's not that bad. It just is really annoying at first. Okay, what if I want to reference stuff that I've already got? How do I do that? An edge linked to external geometry. And I've got this selector thing. And then as soon as I touch the geometry, the cursor goes away. What? Okay, it says not allowed. And then it just goes away. I'm gonna assume that's broken. I don't know, man. I'm just gonna have to define this manually, probably. Oh, great. Why is the origin so hard to pick? I can see what I'm picking based on what's in the status bar, and it's either the horizontal or the vertical axis, but getting the origin is not happening. Do I have to turn this other stuff off? Why can I still see that? Oh, there's like 1 pixel that's the root point. Come on. Do the FreeCAD developers watch people use this software ever? There are probably FreeCAD developers watching me right now and just like, they're probably not happy with me. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Just tell me which pixel I have to click on. Whoa. If I zoom in far enough, the origin isn't actually at the intersection of the horizontal and the vertical axes. And when I put my mouse over the origin, it moves. Really? Is this actually happening? It moves all the way down there when I highlight it. What? I'll drink to that. This is... I've lost the ability to can't even. Okay, if I exit sketch mode accidentally, then they draw correctly. Oh no, I'm back in sketch mode, but I lost my geometry. Okay, it's just way down here. Okay, now it seems fine. Was it in like ultra low precision mode somehow? Because now that's actually at the origin. Even if I zoom in somewhat. Was my camera slightly rotated? I thought I reset my camera. I really get frustrated how I have to seemingly wait after I press the middle mouse button before moving, before I can pan. I don't know if that's actually what's going on, but it just feels like... Okay. This seems to be working. What was going wrong? It seemed like it was doing something where... maybe it's just the UI is laggy and I'm... It's like every so often it'll just wait hundreds of milliseconds before responding to my mouse input, and I don't know why. And it's just one of those things that makes it hard to learn something, because I don't know whether I'm doing something wrong or whether it's just randomly hiccuping. Now it seems smoother. Okay. Okay, so I think I wanted this to be 4¼ millimeters. And I can just place this by eye, I guess. Like, that seems fine. Oh. Really? In this icon, it seems to indicate construction geometry with a dotted blue line, and this turned it into a solid blue line. Huh. Okay. I'm gonna assume that's right. Yeah, it seems fine. Okay, so I need to make a magnet out of this now. This will be how thick now? Tuco, you're not sitting on a magnet, are you? It's okay if Tuco sits on the magnet, I just don't want him eating these because that would be really bad. Okay, 2.8, let's call it. Okay, so now I need to subtract these two. I don't know why I have to switch to the open SCAD workspace to get cut. That's weird. It makes me wonder if they are using the open SCAD code to do the unions and booleans and all that, or if they're probably not shelling out to open SCAD. It seems more integrated than that, but I don't know. They seem to want to shell out to open SCAD for open SCAD stuff. Okay, this is almost done. So it's got the shroud, it's got the place to wall mount, it's got a place for the magnet. Now it just needs a place for the actual keyring to sit up against the magnet. So, how do I make a like if this was Fusion 360, I would make a construction line through this surface, this cylindrical surface, and then make a plane along that line, and then make a sketch on that plane. So, I mean, here I probably could do that by making a sketch against the XZ plane, which is like where the wall mount attaches it. Or no. Oh, actually, yeah. Where is the origin? The origin is at the center of this circle, which is close to, but not right at the center of this circle. What can I make a sketch on? It seemed like I could just make it on one of the basic planes, like the, what would you call those? You know, like the XY, XZ, YZ plane, those planes, plus an offset. I could do that if I could measure the offset distance, which I guess I could off the sketch I just made. Oh gosh, I should name some of these things. Magnet. It's interesting how instead of a timeline like Fusion 360, this seems to be just a hierarchy. Like this hierarchy seems to be both the structure of your model and the timeline of how it was assembled, sort of. Which is interesting. Kind of simplifies it, maybe. So it would be great if I could take this point and just make a sketch at that point. Instead, I think I've got to measure this line and then just use that as an offset, which is not great. How do I measure this? Not even in the right workspace. How do I click on this pixel? I want the center of the circle. Oh gosh, now they're all coming apart again. This couldn't be a camera thing. This has got to be a floating point error thing. That one's moving also. I just want to, okay, I can select kind of. Why is this program so hard to use? That is 100% a rhetorical question. I feel like hard to use. I mean that very literally. It's just... You know, it's not complicated. It's not, like, advanced. It's just hard to use. It's just like stuff that shouldn't be hard is hard. I thought I just selected 2 points. Come on. I want to know the distance between this line and the center of this circle. I can't seem to select the actual center. Okay, then now I can select it, and it seems to be selected. Have I actually selected the circle instead, though? How do I get that vertex? Is there a separate measurement tool I should be using somewhere? Like, even just knowing the XY coordinate of the center of this circle would do it for me. Oh, there we go, measured distance. And I guess I have to be in sketch mode for that. I don't know, are those actually the points? I think they are. Oh gosh, what was that? Oh, I think that's a constraint. It looks just like a line. Okay. Okay. So 3.06 millimeters is good enough for that. Oh, the distance becomes an object in here too. That could be useful. And I've got some coordinates. That is also useful. Let's keep track of that. Can I make a sketch now? So you can see XZ, this is the XZ plane. I think I want XZ with an offset of 3.0595. But I mean, this appearing over here makes me optimistic that I could reference this as a variable somehow. Like, if this were a much nicer UI, I could maybe even, like, drag this distance into this box and set up a link or something, but I don't think that's happening. So did that do what I want? Yeah. So I think I've got a sketch that goes through this magnet hole now. It's completely manual, but whatever. Alright, keyring. How big is a keyring usually? My keyring is about 30 millimeters, a little less. Oh, it's also magnetized at this point. Yeah, let's assume it's like 31 millimeters maybe. Oh, that's radius. Can you do math in here? Oh, you can. What a pleasant surprise. Oh, can I put that on there? Yeah, okay. Now I want this tangent to the edge of the magnet, which I don't think I have. Like, how am I actually going to get that? Okay, somebody was saying in chat that the sketch had to be part of the part for me to reference other geometry. So what if I put this in there? So it's already inside this. I don't think it can be in there. I don't know about that. I don't know how to do this correctly. I feel like I'm just gonna have to like eyeball it and it's gonna be subtly incorrect. Like, I was trying to see if I could use this tool, the external geometry. But it seems like it doesn't want any of that. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I can use the Z buffer. Ugh, I feel dirty. Although, actually, I mean, if I'm going to try to make this the outline for the cut and not necessarily the outline of the actual keyring, then I do want it to be a little bit down, just to have some clearance. So like that is probably fine. I want it to be inside. Yeah, like that. I don't really care by how much. Not very much, but a non-zero amount. And then I think I just want to pad this exact shape. So symmetric. Is this the distance from either side to the center or from one side? It looks like the actual thickness. Cool. What actual thickness do I want? So this needs to be thick enough for the keyring for sure, but not so thick that the magnet falls all the way through. So it's a bit critical. My specific keyring right here is 3.8 millimeters, but if I want to make it a little wider, the magnet is 8, so definitely less than 8. But 5, between 5 and 6 seems like a good, maybe 5.5. I don't know, even 5 is pretty generous. Let's see what 5 looks like. And that's the top. So the magnet would be glued into this hole. These little shelves would hold it into place. As it prints, these shelves are going to be overhangs. And that seems fine. I think my printer can handle like a 7mm overhang. So now let's do a cut. I don't know what it's going to do to have that distance selected. Oh gosh, this is so close. So now I maybe want a little fillet on here to help the key click into place a little bit nicer. But we're really close to done. Oh yeah, the printer. It was printing something. It's probably done by now. Yeah. I was making a AAA battery holder, so we can get this print started as soon as we're done modeling it. I can hear Tuco snoring. I really, really like cats, if it isn't obvious. Where was fillet again? Part. Oh gosh. Which, I don't know why this would not let you select in the 3D view, or why it wouldn't by default maybe indicate which ones are top level versus not top level. How much can I get away with here? Not that much. That seems alright. The top doesn't really need to be that thick. I mean, it's there mostly to keep the whole structure together and to support, like, thinking about the load here, like you're pulling your keys out of this, you're pulling down on the magnet, and that's supported by this whole structure kind of cantilevering against the back and like all that. And this should have some thickness to it, but this is a little overbuilt at the moment. So I can print this with pretty sparse infill. Let's edit that fillet a little more. I think that'll do. I think that's about done. Keyring Booth. All right. All right, let's actually do this. Actually, I wanted to copy that, not move it. Oh, that was the wrong file. Anyway. So, generic PLA, normal. Probably going to print this in like a white or gray PLA to match the wall. I've got some nice neutral colors like that, or shades. So right there, it starts building out, and then yeah, right there it starts bridging. That seems fine. And 3D infill seems fine for this. It's kind of a long print, and we don't really need that much material. Can I go to a 0.2 layer? This printer is not very good at coarse layers, but I think at least 0.2 and maybe 0.25 it does all right. I think 0.2 ought to be fine. We do have a brim. Am I logged into the printer? Why am I not logged into the printer? I guess I need to log into the printer. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I'm spending some time getting more used to FreeCAD. It's good to know both how to use it and, like, specifically what it's okay at and what it's really not okay at. Keyring Booth. Alright, I'm not going to bother with the wireless mic, but I'll just leave you with the sounds of the heater as I go in there and set up the print really quick. Be right back. Oh no. Sorry you lost the video. Tuca was sitting right outside the printer closet most of the time. I don't know what the root cause of this problem is either. It's like sometimes it just loses the video connection. If I turn it back on and turn it off and back on again in OBS, it comes back. Oh, and this was what was just printing. It was a AAA battery holder. Useful for all those Internet of Things AAAs. Yeah, gotta feed the printer. Its poop is sometimes useful and valuable. Oh, I should try out that technique for cleaning hairs off the prints using a heat gun. I feel like I've been usually just like too shy to do that with most of my prints, and so I'll use a knife because I don't want to warp it, but I should get a sense for how much heat I can apply without a problem, because it can be so much faster. And this thing's just a battery holder, and the tolerances are pretty loose, so I think I might give that a shot. Oh, the pig needs hysteresis. Where's the cat? Yeah, that's a good, yeah, some folks on the chat are asking about the printer. Yeah, a lot of what I like about this printer is the really nice, consistent nozzle, and it's sad that, yeah, so Type A, which is the company who makes these, went out of business, and it's sad because you can't buy these anymore, and anybody who does have them is going to have a hard time finding replacement parts. So yeah, eventually I'm not going to be able to use this one anymore, because I'll just run out of consumables. Unless I can figure out how to rebuild the parts I need. The main consumables on this printer are ribbon cables and nozzles, and they're both kind of specialty, which is part of the problem with this printer now. The ribbon cables I might be able to find another vendor for. They're like pretty normal flat flex cables. They're just an assembly that I might need to like order in quantity, which may or may not be worth it when the time comes. They were not cheap from Type A either. Like Type A charged like $30 each for the flat flex cables. But yeah, no, it's really consistent. Part of that comes from having linear slides on all the axes. It's basically like water jet cut aluminum, nice linear slides, and pretty good stepper controllers, and that's mostly where it gets its niceness from. And then of course, like, it's pretty big. It's 300 millimeters on each side. Oh gosh. Yeah, anybody who's like arguing on the internet based on like what folks like RMS and Linus and Eric Raymond do are not really relevant anymore as far as I can tell. Oh, sorry I missed your comments until just now on Twitch chat. Stems Doorway says that this looks like an inventor program for engineers. I don't know if you mean just like a generally like a program for inventing things, or there is actually a program called Autodesk Inventor. And And yeah, Inventor is sort of like SolidWorks, is sort of like Fusion 360, and this is like an open source program that tries to be kind of like those. And it's just like just barely usable as far as I can tell, but it's, you know, that's definitely something. And I don't know, it's one of those things like circuit board design CAD where the barrier to entry for getting some program that is usable enough for people, for like professionals to want to spend the time on it, that's really high. And it's nice to see that they're like on the way there. I'm just not quite sure if it's there yet, but we're gonna give it a shot. This seems to have been working out all right. I'm gonna try hitting this battery thing with a heat gun. We'll come back to the 3D print. Did I just hit the microphone with the heat gun? I'm glad it wasn't on. Sorry about that. I was just using this deburring tool to take off the edges on the brim, which is kind of a handy way to do it. Alright, so I'm going to try turning, I think I want somewhat high air pressure and somewhat high heat for this. I'm going to turn the air like pretty much up to max on my heat gun, and then I'm going to turn the heat to like 400-ish. Oh. The small strings go away pretty much instantly. Oh, and there's my first warpage. Oh yeah, those pillars are getting all wobbly and soft. This is pretty much worst case because I've got some relatively robust strings and then some pretty delicate plastic parts, and it's in an enclosed space that'll trap all that heat. But that's not too bad. Like, I'll probably use this technique on other models. I'll just have to be really careful. And that's not perfect, but it seems like it helped. I'll let that cool before I do anything else to it, because it definitely looks like it warped slightly in that process. Oh yeah, and the blues. These are both melt ink filaments. I've got a bunch of their colors, and they've been really nice. I used a lot of these same ones. So like, in fact, these same two blues I used on the winch bots. This was actually me just trying to use up some almost empty spools. So I was picking colors that I was the lowest on. So that's partly the reason for the filament swap, is I was using up some almost empty spools. But then it also looks nice. So if you can find a couple of coordinated colors that you're almost out of, you can build some battery holders like this. I think it's still warm, but I think this is gonna hold together now. That's not bad. It's a looser fit than my other battery caddies that I 3D printed, but that's not a bad thing. The other one was a little on the tight side. This actually has another half, so you can make it an enclosed thing. I might print that, but I also might not, because I tend to just stick these in drawers like next to each other. That's all right. A little bit warped from the hot air, but I think next time I'll have to take it easier. Oh, I thought I still had that connected, sorry. I was trying to get the debug view on this stream, but that relies on an HDMI cable that I disconnected. Emily says it looked like it was softer than PLA. That was just because it was warm. That was just because I hit it with the heat gun. Otherwise, it would not be soft. Zuko is in a really dark corner right now. Oh, I think he's looking out the window. I wonder if he's looking at the moon. I couldn't tell. It looked like he was just looking outside, but I didn't see anything specific. It is going to be a lot easier to drive this thing once it automatically adjusts its own height. Well, this print's going to take a while. This is probably the time to wrap up the stream. We'll post pictures of this thing on Twitter once it prints. But yeah, that was all right. Let's see, would I do that again? Yeah, I'll definitely do that again. I think I know a little bit more about what to tiptoe around in FreeCAD. And it is probably nicer for some of this than OpenSCAD, at least. Like projects like this where it's more about kind of eyeballing the shape that I want rather than coming up with a reproducible procedure. It's kind of nice. And in case you missed what this is supposed to be, this is, I'm calling it the Keyring Booth. It's basically a magnetic keychain holder that also has like a privacy shroud on the sides to keep cameras from spying on your keys. Yeah, basically, Emily says that these are my annoying CAD software of the week projects. Yeah, I mean, I'm used to just like making stuff that I need around the shop like this, and it's easy in a program that I'm already used to, but it's also an opportunity to try something new. So that's what we were doing here. This would have been a really, really, really quick build if I was doing it in Fusion 360 or Rhino, or even Blender, because those are programs I'm familiar with. But this was all learning curve all the time. And if this is any good, I'll put it on Thingiverse. I still don't know if it's going to be any good yet. Humidity is still pretty low in the printer closet. There's a dehumidifier in there, which has been producing almost no water. So my raw market raw water market is all dried up. Oh, Jimmy says I mentioned M5 stack earlier. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about it. That was just somebody mentioned it in a comment on YouTube. What is that? Oh yeah, so I think this came up because we were looking at the Big Clown IoT kit recently, and so this is a different kind of IoT kit. The Big Clown stuff is, so it's open source, and it's really intended for people who, I think it's intended for a wide variety of skill levels, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do with the Big Clown kit without having to get deep into any of the software and just like putting stuff together. And then it also caters pretty well, I think, to people who want to really get into the firmware and have command line interfaces for everything, and it's, you know, good at giving you tools. Their stuff is focused on like low power, kind of longer range wireless stuff. This seems to be wireless over like Wi-Fi specifically. That seems neat. Because like you wouldn't want to use an ESP32 probably for like a wireless temperature sensor that had to run on battery for a long time. But if it needs a bunch of power anyway to run some lights or a display or a speaker, then yeah, maybe Wi-Fi is a good option. And they're on AliExpress. 'Cause, 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 wonder if these use the same 128 pixel TFTs we used at Siftio. Oh no, these are 320 by 240. So it's not square, but pretty pixely. And inexpensive. What is their software like? Right. Not much on there, is there? It's like just an ESP32 module and an antenna and some power management. Yep. Looks like an Arduino thing. Laura. Is this the web server, or is it an example for the web server? It doesn't look like there's much in the way of network stuff here, unless I'm missing something. What is ESP IDF? Ah. Yeah, this like doesn't have any network stuff. It's basically just how to connect to the peripherals that they've put on the board, which isn't to say that like this probably can do whatever you want. They just don't like they haven't done any of the work to implement anything on top of the network, and they don't have examples for the network. What is this? Yeah, so it's like an ESP32 breakout. Alright. do they give you any kind of network integration help here, or is it really just a breakout board? Oh, that's the built-in antenna? It's just like a wire kind of curled up in there, huh? Hmm. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Oh yeah, Emily asks how that can be an antenna when the ground is still on. Yeah, I was assuming that was a bare wire and not a coax, which is also not great, right? Because it was like crossing over itself. Manoray says it looks like a huge watch on your wrist. Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, they also kind of look like anything else that's this little square thing with a screen, like the iPod Nano or the Siftio Cubes. I mean, the Siftio Cubes, we were pretty particular about the screen being square because the idea was the whole thing needs to be able to rotate. It was a bit unfortunate, actually, that the cheap LCDs that we had, when you rotate the screen, like the viewing angle kind of changes. It would have been better if we had OLEDs, but we didn't have the power or money budget for OLEDs at the time. Oh, okay, Jimmy says they're still working on the software. That sounds about right. Here's a kit with all the easy parts. We're working on the hard parts, which is great, but that seems like what it is. Oh, they have the stacking connector sticking out through the 3D printed case. That's kind of cute. Alright, that's interesting. How's our pronter doing? Yeah, I liked the look of the PCB antennas on the Big Clown stuff. Like, they had these sub-gigahertz helical antennae that seem pretty nice. I mean, I don't know how they perform relative to a balled-up chunk of wire, but it seems like they would be pretty accurate at least, and maybe have lower losses. But, I don't know, if you're using an ESP32, you don't really care about power consumption, right? Yeah, the little F-shaped PCB antenna, the one that's on all the chip data sheets that you can copy. I mean, PCB antennas are fine. They just require some tuning. Like, if you just copy someone else's PCB antenna, just the design, it's probably not going to work. I mean, it'll work all right, but it won't be great. Like, to get a good PCB antenna, like if you're actually taking a product into manufacturing, you need to tune it for the particular PCB material and maybe the supplier you're using. So you'll usually order some like first article from the PCB supplier, and then like hook that up to a network analyzer and trim it until it's just right, and then incorporate that into your design. What? James is claiming that Espressif has some secret sauce that can turn a rusty paperclip into a great radiator. That sounds like snake oil to me, but I'd love a citation needed, I guess is what I should say. Do you mean they have like an equalization network or something that they can adjust in software? I mean, having some kind of digitally controlled antenna matching would be great. An RC network. Sometimes those RC networks are for adapting the impedance. Sometimes they're for allowing like a test port so that you can connect the chip either up to the PCB antenna or up to some equipment through a 50 ohm coax. I mean, I don't know if I trust that experience from Cianlor. Like, I mean, it's really easy to just hook up a chip and be like, it works, and I didn't even try. But if you're not actually doing proper RF testing on the results, like, how do you know how well it works for the not trying that you just did? Like, that seems like hearsay to me rather than science and sciencey testing. Did he actually have some way of testing the antenna? Oh, thanks. Vic Cobb had some kind words on YouTube chat. They appreciate how much time and effort I put into this. Well, it's what I do, putting time and effort into stuff. 400-meter range test. But, like, range by itself doesn't mean anything unless you also know the sensitivity of the other antenna and how much power you're putting into the system. I mean, that's an interesting data point, but I'm not convinced it means anything. Go Tuco hunting with the robot. He's not on the couch. He's not on the rack. He's not co-located with me. He's not in my empty beer. He might have retired to elsewhere. Well, I don't know where Tuco is, and I'm mostly just waiting on the 3D printer here, so I think it's probably time to wrap up the stream, and I can do other things. But, yeah, thanks for hanging out with the late stream. It isn't usual I stream this late, but it's nice to know that I'm, that I will have an audience, I guess. I should do this more often. I tend to assume that, like, it's just too late for everyone, but we've got some night owls on the West Coast, and then we've got some folks in Europe and elsewhere in the world, and it's just late for those East Coast US folks, but, so be it. Oh, yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. Emily suggests to mic the printer when it's on stream so we can hear the steppers. That would be great. It's just, it's mostly just logistics. Like right now, those cameras are all on IP. They don't have microphones. There might be a way of connecting a microphone to it. I don't know if the encoder supports that, but... And then I could get it wired into the rest of my audio setup here, but that might involve running a long wire, which sounds like it might have noise, but the printer's also noisy, so maybe it wouldn't be a big deal. And I've got that wireless mic. Yeah, I don't have like a multi-channel wireless setup for that. But yeah, I'll think about it. Maybe there's a way I can get that set up. Oh, nice. James is in Australia and it's 5 p.m. there. Cool. Alright, well, I will wrap this up, and there's the cat stream going also, although I might shut that off if Tuco isn't going to be on stream. But if Tuco is hanging out, I'll get that started up again. I think I just shut off the cat stream. I can turn that on and off from the remote control now. Happy hacking, folks. I'll see you next time. And a special thanks to everyone who supports the stream by sending in hardware, and a special thanks to all the Patreon supporters who keep the landlords here happy by helping me pay the rent on this delightful shop. And I'll try to return the favor by sharing it with all of you as often as I can. See you all later.